Welcome, folks, to another episode here of the Soul Sessions. It's time to suit up again because this episode, the beautiful bruiser, the sin of professional wrestling, Molly Spartan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for being so patient. I've had a terrible day with technology today and getting stuck on pillows and things like that. But we're here, and hopefully it goes smoothly from now on.
We will keep that train rolling and make sure the tracks are steady, no alternate course going on. But Molly, what I love to do with every guest has a story, and every story has a beginning. I would love to know, how did your story begin within the world of professional wrestling?
You mean from the start, from when I discovered wrestling, or when I started working in wrestling?
Let's go right to the beginning, right as a fan.
So, from the start, basically, I often tell this story about how I got into wrestling because I think a lot of people end up discovering it because their big cousin was watching it and they came in and watched it, or their brothers or things like that. Where for me, it was different because when I grew up, we had, I mean, it's going to show my age, but we used to have these little black, like Telewest cable boxes that had red digits on them. And now it was either Channel 21 or Channel 22. Don't crucify me if I'm wrong, but it was one of them. And it used to have Cartoon Network on it. Now, anybody that knows me knows I am the biggest Powerpuff Girls fan you will ever meet. Have always been one. Loyal, like I've got artwork on my walls and things like that. Like, love it. And I always say it was such the perfect cartoon that showed that little girls, no matter if they were boisterous, artistic, or proud of their intelligence, they could still fight for what they believed in. Plus, it had Mojo Jojo and him, and like they had the best villains that were just flawed but wonderful. So I used to watch Cartoon Network. Now, what would happen on at 9 o'clock? There were certain channels that used to split the watershed. So when the watershed happened in the UK, for people in the US, you don't know, at 9 o'clock it cuts. So that at 9 o'clock you can say pretty much whatever you want. You can show whatever you want to limit, depending on your channel. But in the US, it's a bit mad. But in the UK, there's these rules. So at 9 o'clock it would change, and it would change to the channel TNT, or the provider TNT, which famously obviously hosted WCW. And one marvelous Friday night, I was watching, thinking I was getting an extra copy of the Powerpuff Girls because 9 o'clock came and it hadn't changed. And instead, I was like all excited, and then it changed to Big Bill Goldberg's screaming face down my television, and was like, "Whoa, oh, what is this?" Fell off the kitchen table, didn't know what was going on, and then my little brother ran in and was like, "What's happening?" And we basically discovered WCW. So on a Friday night, my mom and dad would go out and have a night out. Our cousin would come and babysit us, and at 9 o'clock we would watch wrestling. Now, at this point in time, we really didn't know who anybody was. But that's where we sort of started to learn. Mom and dad would come back from their night out. My mom always had the theory of whoever got hit first was winning. Whoever did the first hit was losing. That's her. She stuck to it to this day. That's her theory. Whoever throws the first punch is not winning. Um, but yes, that's how we discovered it. But then through that, we sort of ended up changing network providers, and we ended up starting getting the WWF and WWE. My brother became infatuated with Mr. Johnson, to a point where I was Stone Cold, he was The Rock. I took many a rock bottom, he took many a stunner in our living room. And then, yeah, eventually just here I am. But yeah,
Hell of a
fell
journey.
in love with it with my brother. It's still a thing. Me and my brother, like, clearly I'm a bit more into it than he is. But it's still something. Like, my brother, when I started to train, my brother just out of nowhere just went, "I support your decision to start training." And I was like, "Oh, thanks very much, David." And he was like, "Yeah, one day I'm going to meet The Rock because of you." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's your reasoning, but I'll take it. I'll take it."
That's a reason. But I got to ask there, Cartoon Network. I loved Codename Kids Next Door. That was my favorite show as a kid. But I want to know, who's your favorite Powerpuff Girl out of the three?
I Jet Mojo Jojo. Uh,
Oh, yes.
Technically, I have the Chemical X bottle tattooed on me because Chemical X is what made the girls and Mojo the way he is. But I genuinely can't. Like I get told that I'm Blossom, but I think it's more because I've got the red hair. But I think I'm a perfect amalgamation of all three. I'm very. I like to be. I like to seem. I'm proud of my intelligence. I will give you a whooping, but my God, just sometimes a lovely rainbow is just pretty to look at.
Very true indeed, obviously. And obviously, while you would go on to train as well, many great training schools up in Scotland now with FPWA, but obviously the Glasgow Pro Wrestling Asylum and Iron Girders and everything. For yourself going to training, I know it was Glasgow Pro Wrestling Asylum. That environment, what was it like going into there for training?
So I was actually, I think officially there is only two or three of us left from the original class. I was part of the first class. So going into it, it was actually a complete question mark. We were essentially the guinea pigs of the school. But it was obviously the coaches were established enough. They knew what they were talking about. So we knew we were going in to learn from great minds. But yeah, we were the ones that kind of took the leap of faith in seeing how it would go. The only other two I could think of that are left is there is a luchador wrestler called Soldato who's still going about, works at Target, things like that. But the only two of us that have managed to get to ICW is myself and Eddie Castle. We're day oneers from GPWA. We were part of the first class, the first group, and really the starting of how they would sort of grow and decide to how to actually do their training is with us. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that's a hell of a thing there to be a part of the first class. Obviously with Scotland now, there's so many training schools popping up. What does it mean to see so many opportunities now for people to become wrestlers here in Scotland?
It's great. I mean, there's always been the saying that there's something in the water in Scotland, as we do seem to produce a lot of great talent. But yeah, it's the different places that are springing up. Um, just means it's more. There's different levels as well for individuals because yeah, sure, like I love the way of that I was coached, but there's probably people that don't like that kind of method of coaching. But the fact that there is other places you can go to, you can find what helps you learn. Like I've been dyslexic and I've had my ways of learning of things. I know what helps me learn things quicker. And Angel Hayes always laughs at the fact that she says that she could always see the cogs turning in my head when I'm trying to figure something out because she'll just see it's literally I've heard her go, there she goes, because my brain will go tick 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 ching when I get it. She's like, there she is, she's got it. Like she laughs at me all the time for it because I'm dyslexic. I don't know my left from my right, which you'd think is terrible for a wrestler. But if you just do that with your left, you get an L. So occasionally you'll just see me go. If you ever see me in the ring, go. I'm trying to figure out which way I'm going. But yeah, I think because there is a wealth of schools now, it means that yeah, each person can find the way that they want to be trained and what suits them best now.
Of course, absolutely, and it's great to see. But also, you mentioned that having your own way of training. We've had many trainers on from FPWA, and Andy Roberts and Johnny Lyons, and they talked about building training programs around individuals, like it's sort of like a person-centered training plan. For you, Molly, was that how great is it to see that we're giving like these opportunities for people to learn their own way, their own path through seminars or in-ring training or other ways they like to learn.
It's great. I mean, especially obviously, I am now affiliated with Iron Girders, most being it essentially part of uh, a business, with it being belonging to my husband, and in the grand scheme of things. Um, but it means that like we've been able to supply things like one-on-one training. There's some people that actually they get anxious when they're doing it in a group if they feel like they're going in and not knowing what they're doing, so they get a bit anxious. So there's a lot of people that come to the one-on-one training. They get their basics just one-on-one. It's very intimate, and then they can go into a class where they feel more comfortable and being able to sort of mingled, at least knowing somewhat of what they're doing. So yeah, we supply that kind of thing, and I mean, it's crucial because there's also levels where we've had times where I've gone in to coach because somebody's actively requested, like, can I get a female, or like maybe a girl that will come in, or somebody of trans. We've had trans people come in and do one-on-one sessions, but it's because they've said, like, I think I'd feel more comfortable with a female trainer, so I'll go in, help them with roles and whatever they want to sort of specialize in. I mean, no man has ever really been unhappy with me coaching them either, because I'm not exactly a delicate little flower. But yeah, it is crucial, but yeah, it's every place is different, and the fact that now there is this wealth of places that you can go to, places that feel more like a community, and then there's the places that are more sort of like, right, no, let's get this done, let's treat it like a dojo kind of style thing. And yeah, it's great, and it's great everybody sort of got their own hub, and they're trying to find multiple ways of sort of learning the thing that we all love. And hopefully it also makes it interesting when you get in the ring, because then you're dealing with people that have learned different things. I mean, I've been lucky that I've traveled all over the place, so I've been able to learn from other people from all different walks of life and different places around the world, where some people don't really get that. So it's kind of cool that that's kind of happening in Glasgow, even if I just say not just in Scotland.
No, absolutely. And, Iron Girders is a great place. I've had guests on, so as Mark McAllister, Nicole Jasmine, and they've talked about the great experience they've got from there. I mean, what does it mean to hear from you that, the training you're providing for these wrestlers is, paying off? They're doing great things and they have such great feedback for you and Iron Girders.
It's great. I mean, I think we really have built something special when we are really producing some incredible talent and helping some incredible talent as well, who may have started elsewhere and have come to us. For us, it was always, I mean, with Girders, we've sort of become a school, but initially we are the pro wrestling gym is more a thing. There is a fully equipped gym there, and when you're a member of Girders, you also have a membership to the gym. A couple of things that we're really proud of: we have a tag class that specifies in tag wrestling, and it means that people that do want to be in a tag team are able to come, but also people that want to try being in a tag team, seeing if something works, if it can work for them as well. Because for me, it's, as you know, and probably most people that watch this that are they're tuning in because they know me. I'm also part of a tag team. I'm part of the She Wolves, and for me, I found it was crucial to learn every aspect, be it everything that I do in my singles, but also how to be a tag wrestler. Because really, why would I cut my nose off to spite myself and just not learn something that is massive and is important in wrestling and is beloved in wrestling? So why not learn both? And the Girders, you are able to do that. You are able to go along and understand the psychology of a tag match as well as the psychology of singles matches and multi-man matches, etc. We also do a sort of a character class where you can come and actually talk about where you want your character to go and how would your character talk, and get you to do promos. And people that are maybe a bit uncomfortable or really sort of trying to find their groove and how they're going to talk, comes to that on a Wednesday. And yeah, we're able to actually have proper conversations and try and get you to think about who is Molly Spartan, who is Mark McAllister, um who is the Soul Session sort of thing. Like what does it mean? Like what does it go? Where's it going? Where does it get inspiration from? And things like that as well. So we're sort of taking a new approach to it as well. Plus we also supply the WrestleFit classes, which focus on people's conditioning for the ring, not just necessarily just, but also if you don't even want to be, we've got a couple of people that they don't necessarily want to be wrestlers, they might want to be referees, etc., etc. They come to the WrestleFit class just to get fit, really, to actually have a workout with. It's Levi, who actually hosts that, who's a trained PT, and he takes people through workouts every Friday. I think it's at 6 and 7 p.m. So yeah, there's a wealth of stuff that we feel we're providing, that's different to other places, but other places provide many things. Plus, we're associated with the Looking Sharps Dojo. They run on Monday as well. So yeah, we've kind of become this cool little hub that we're really proud of, and we're really proud of the talent that's coming out, and we're also really proud of the shows that we're producing, which we're hosting in the gym. So people are getting to come along and actually have a peek to see where we do everything. I mean, Grant, we remove all the gym equipment before the show starts, because then it'd be a real mess. But yeah, we really enjoy it. We enjoy sort of filming the shows, and even when I'm in America, and obviously Wolfie's here in America, we have a live stream. So yeah, we sit and watch them when we're here and when I'm back home and stuff like that. So yeah, we're happy with how it's going. Hopefully it just gets better and better.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm seeing the what just on Instagram and everything of talent coming, they're happy and everything. It's just great to see. Honestly, folks, if you're watching Iron Girders, check them out. You'll love it there. But one thing I was
Plus,
interested.
we are also going to be hosting the first LGBTQ plus event on the 30th of September, which Monet has. He came to us and was like, I really want to do this, but and we were like, we'll help you. Like, we'll help you with this. You do what you want, but like sort of things like that. So yeah, like it's also supporting people wanting to do other ventures like this, and Shay's wanted to do this for years. Like, knowing the boy, he's wanted to do it for years, and now he's getting an opportunity to actually do it, and we're going like, here you go.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny you mentioned that Molly. Shay was on the show last year, which she talked about wanting to do this event well. So he's been at it for a long time. And it's historic as well. The first LGBT wrestling event, I believe, in Glasgow, or maybe it's all of Scotland as well. But I want
It's
to
in
know.
Scotland. It's the first one ever in Scotland. But
Historic.
this has been something he's chased for years, before the pandemic, before anything like that. He's been wanting to do it. I even went to see venues with him before, when he was just sort of trying to find a place that he can go, and then possibly sort of. So yeah, like, went with him, and this has been something he's really wanted to do. And just one day, he just sort of sent me a voice note going, do you think Wolfie would let me use Iron Girders? And I was like, I mean, probably. Ask him. And that's sort of where it started. And they had a chat, and yeah, he's really excited about it. Like, he is, like, if this thing doesn't sell out, it will be mind blowing, because the amount of work that this boy wants to do now, and we're going, right, do this, and we're sort of trying to teach him of, like, this is how you schedule announcements, and this is how you do this sort of thing. But it's a talent wanting to learn a new skill, and it's a new skill that we can go, right, we can teach you what we know, and you can host it here and learn something new as well in wrestling. Like, the more we can teach people that can further their career after they're done in the ring, the better.
Absolutely. And a historic show for Girders as well, which, I mean, you've got to be really proud of having that as a historic thing you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, really, we're just so happy that we're able to support one of the people that train there, that wants to do something like this, that means so much to him, and being able to support him wanting to fulfill this dream. That's really the thing that we're mostly focused on. And yeah, she's like, talking to him as well. He's happy, that he's so delighted that he's able, because he understands that that's really, it's just us supporting somebody wanting to do something that they've wanted to do for years. And really, that's what it really is when anybody comes in to train, be it they want to be a ref or a manager or a wrestler. Like, we are enjoying supporting people having these dreams, be it they have one match and that's them, or if they want to go and travel to the likes of Japan or around the world, or even if it's just they want to end up hosting things that helps the community, other communities that they're involved in. So yeah, we're really proud to host it, and really proud to help Shay along this way in this journey to like, Shay, like, we've already been discussing, like, who knows, this could be the new Scottish gay brunch for, you know what I mean? Like, this is the first one. We'll see how it goes. We'll help you with whatever you can. We'll help you cover sort of some things and like that as well. But yeah, really, for us, it's just being able to support the people that actually come and train. Because we don't just want to be this place that you show up, you pay your money, and then you leave. Like, we want to be able to help you with whatever aspects and dreams that you do have, to the extent that we can help you. Like, we can't turn everybody into Brock Lesnar, but we could try.
But it's very wholesome to see that you have such care and all that, and it's great to see that. Honestly, congratulations for having this event coming up. Honestly, well done for this, Molly. It's going to be a true smashing hit.
Yeah, and I'm also very excited. We've got some of the talent that I know are coming. I'm very
Ooh.
excited to work with and see, and also being involved with. So yeah, I'm excited about the show too. I'm excited to be on the show. So yeah, it'll be good.
Excitement, surprises all around. But there was something there you mentioned, Molly, a couple bit back that I've always been fascinated about. This running season of the Soul Sessions has been covering ring psychology. I'm very fascinated by it, how it works as a singles wrestler and a tags wrestler. But some people say it's a lost art. Maybe it's not as focused upon now or developed. From yourself, Molly, do you agree with that statement, or do you feel like ring psychology is blossoming more than now than ever?
I mean, I'm probably gonna. It probably depends on where you train and stuff, and who you're surrounded by. But to me, it's so important. It's unbelievably important. Everything I think I do, like I've corrected myself in the ring. Go, what are you doing? Go, like I'm. I'm one of, but I don't know if it's also just because it's now an Iron Girders thing. Like we're very crucial of like, why are you here? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Make it like try and make things make sense because it also makes things easier for other people. Um, yeah, I think, but again, it all depends on where you train. There's going to be places that love just hitting cool moves and everybody loves cool moves and that's all good. But if you're able to not have to kill yourself but make people so invested in something that when you do hit a cool move, the place just goes off its nut. Like it also makes your career longer. It makes things easier for everybody else on the card. It makes like in the long run, and I love hitting cool moves. I love taking cool moves. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying like don't do that. But yeah, to me, it's so crucial. Your psychology is so important. Like, why would I do this? Why would I be here? What would I do? Like, just the simple question of why. And I'm always one for asking that. Like, if somebody goes, oh, I want to do this, and I'll go, why do you want to do this? Where's the lead up? Why? How are we getting there? I'm cool with doing that, but how are we getting there? That's sort of the question. And I've so far, I mean, people might call me a bitch behind my back. I don't know, but so far I've not had anybody straight up be like, "No, she's a cow." But it might happen. But okay, cool. You think I'm a cow? I'm cool with that.
she's
Um, sorry. But the people that I work with regularly, the people that I get excited to work about, they're the same sort of mindset. Everything they do has a reason behind it. And I also think these are the people that are getting a lot of attention now. And it's because everything they do has a reason behind it. And that's even though some people might not realize that's what they're seeing and what they're taking in, it is what you're seeing and what you're taking in. Um, but yeah, to me that's important, and also what way you're facing is important to me. Like, make sure the most people that can see this. That's a big thing for me as well. Positioning is a huge thing with me, and you will just and I'll go, no, 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 we're doing this and we're going that way, and they go, okay, and I've moved people before plenty of times, but yeah, ring psychology is it's always going to be important no matter what it is. And yes, the pace of matches might be getting faster, the pace of things might be getting quicker, but in reality, the matches that you're going to go back and watch time and time and time and time again are the ones that have the best psychology. The reason why you watch a lot of Shawn Michaels, so Shawn Michaels Flair, Shawn Michaels Undertakers, is the psychology, is the story that's told in front of you. Undertaker Mankind, like, and it's that sort of thing. Like in reality, with Undertaker Mankind, a lot happens and a lot doesn't happen at the same time. But it's the psychology around the thing that makes it so captivating, and like you're thinking, is he dead? Like what just happened? Why? What's going on? Like that's the matches that you hold dear aren't normally just full of things that make no sense. The matches that people remember and properly hold in their hearts all seem to have this psychology behind it. And you go, why do you like that? And they go, oh, because he's mental and he's like I feel sorry for him, or I love him, or like things like that. Like your moments that you remember and that you hold dear have reason behind it. And yeah, it's always going to be a thing for me, a massive thing and a massive part of who I am as a performer, and it's a massive part of the majority of the people that I actually really respect. It's a massive part of theirs. And yeah, I know it's very important to my husband too. The amount of times he'll like he'll go, "Why did that happen?" And then I'll explain it, and he goes, "Oh, right, okay. What about this?" And I go, "All right, okay." Like we have proper conversations about it, and I think it's really crucial. And I think it's a big part on like people getting feedback and people getting better too. Just asking them simple questions of like, "Why did you do that? This is why you did that." Oh, not. And if I ever go, "Oh, because it's cool," I'll be like, "Get in the bin. Do that. You can do it, but do it for this bin." Like, yeah, cool, but why?
Very much. Everyone has to have a reason. You can't just bust out a super kick with not having meaning.
Yeah. Like, why did you super kick him in the face? Oh, I super kicked him in the face because he tried to fire into my mum. Fair. Kick him in the face again. Like that. That's you know what I mean.
Hey, it's a reason, Molly. It's a reason. If anything, I mean, hey, I would go.
Reason. There's a reason most people would find justified if somebody tried to fire into your mum. You can super kick them in the face. I'd be terrible at it. I can't. I'm not a super kicker. I'd probably just squish you, but other people might super kick.
Who knows what they go for? But I know, obviously, know, Molly, in your career, you've met some great wrestling icons. You met Mick Foley, you met Rowdy Piper, and you met my favorite wrestler, John Moxley, as well. These are great talents. I want to know, first of all, meeting the likes of Mick Foley and Roddy Piper, do you just starstruck just get over you, or do you try to remain professional as you can?
Obviously, I've been very lucky because I work with Inside the Ropes as well, doing sort of their live tours and stuff like that. Yes, of course, it's incredibly lucky, and it's also been great to sort of understand who those people are behind the performer too. But for me, when we did the tour with Edge, I genuinely believe Kenny McIntosh booked that just to try and see me flustered for once, and it worked. It was really odd, sort of like the crew said it was one of the first times ever that they seen me just. I walked into the show and was like, "I'm watching the start of this. Everybody leave me alone." And they were like, "Okay, like leave her alone." And but it was that interesting thing being able to watch the highlights. So Ollie Osatian, who does sort of when we do the tours, he will do the videos that go up and stuff like that, and the work that he puts into them. And yeah, it's usually like a start to end of their career or where they are just now.
Mm-hmm.
And watching Edges, I was just like, I've stole everything. I'm a sham, but no, but at the same time of realizing just not even realizing just how inspirational the man is to what I do. Although there are elements that are very different, there are obviously elements that are very similar. There were little things that I had done and I knew I'd done in wrestling, and I didn't even mentally realize I did that because Edge did it, like, and it's such an influence. So, but yeah, being able to meet these people and also realizing Edge is one of the nicest men in the world put my soul at ease because I was like, please don't be a dick, man. Come on, like, just be nice. Don't ruin everything. And he didn't, so that's good. Thumbs up. But yeah, it's also good seeing the people that I did invest so much time in weren't good, nice people as well. But also being able to ask them advice and things like that. And although my God, every time I go to do it, my heart is going boom, 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 boom. My face is trying to be like, I'm cool and calm and collected here. I am a professional. But the majority of them will actually open up. And to be honest, one of the nicest moments I had was when I won the women's ICW women's championship. I went and joined Inside the Ropes the following day in Dublin with Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle came up to him and was like, "Congratulations!" And I was like,
Oh, shit,
Why?
that's
Why does
damn.
he know?
That's
And he was asking where you'd gone, and I was like, oh. He was like, in the fact that he'd worked for ICW, he was like, oh, that's cool. Like, she's getting that. That's class. So yeah, he came up and said congratulations, and I was like, that's cool. Like, there's like little moments like that you're like, oh, well, that's surreal, but yeah, it's cool at the same time.
holy shit. I couldn't imagine as a wrestler winning a championship. Then Kurt motherfucking Angle comes up and says, "Congratulations, well done." Holy shit.
Yeah, yeah. And he just appeared and was like, oh, you're back. Congratulations. And I was like,
just shaking hands like, oh, cheers, big man. I'm not scared at all or shitting my britches right now. Holy shit. Wow.
Kurt, genuinely, Kurt is one of the funniest and nicest people that I've had a chance to work with. But yeah, I've had a lot of really good ones. Like I had we did shows with Pat Patterson before he passed, and we took him to Canal Street in Manchester, sort of the gay district, and it is one of the best nights I have ever had in my life, and I will hold those memories with me till the day I die. Just seeing him pirouetting with drag queens on Canal Street
Oh,
and dancing and singing My Way. Like we convinced a karaoke bar on there to let him sing My Way, and it was just so good just seeing this man so happy in his surroundings. And actually, I'm watching him pirouette and dance with a drag queen in the middle of Canal Street and thinking, "You invented the Royal Rumble."
wow.
um, but yeah, moments like that, I will always cherish.
That that's a hell of a memory, definitely to keep close to the chest. I mean, wow,
Yeah.
definitely. But obviously, there's someone I talk about who's recently, kicking ass in the ring. You've met Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, who's a man who's been killing it right now. But obviously, we've talked about character work, and Dean Ambrose and John Moxley I view as two different individuals, kind of a hell of a character shift. From your point of view, Molly, obviously as a fan of John and his work, seeing those two characters, do you think of them as two distinguished individuals, or they're just one and the same individual?
So the difference being is, so I actually started watching John Moxley stuff before he went to WWE, and was very confused when they signed him because I was like, they signed the right guy. Like, have they seen Tournament of Death? Like, because at that point they hadn't really signed anybody from like, you know what I mean? Like they went through an era where that sort of stuff was like, no, no, no. So when they signed John Moxley, I was kind of like, they've 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 screwed the pooch here. Like this is the wrong person they've signed. What is going on? And yeah, then he went to FCW, and I think although I loved his work before, and I like he was just this madman with promos in car parks with terrible lighting and things like that. Like I loved his work when he had the Daft Pink hair and everything. Um, but then I'm getting signed, and I feel like that's when he sort of started to learn the question of why. Why were you doing things? Like, what's the reasoning? So I think also having a partner that is in the performance center and having friends like Alba Fire and Piper Niven and things like that who are there regularly and have gone through all that. Um, you start learning things like, why are you doing this? What's the reason? Like you're not just doing it because you think it's cool, because in reality it could benefit somebody else better, and it could benefit a story better if you're not doing this kind of thing. And I think that's where he sort of learned that. And I think that I think a lot of the people, I think one of the benefits of them signing people that had been in the performance center to AEW is those people were coming with the question of why.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where I think a lot of people hadn't really been exposed to that. But now you can see the pool is sort of developing, and there are more people. You like it's weird that I can start seeing there's now matches in AEW that are asking the question of why, and it is becoming a much better product than what it had. I'm not saying it was a bad product in the past, but it's just a better product now.
Mm-hmm.
And like they wouldn't be selling at Wembley Stadium if they weren't, you know what I mean? If there wasn't like the first year of AEW, everybody was like, "Let's see how this does. Is this any good?" And then yeah, they made some right signings in order to sort of clump it together.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're selling at Wembley Stadium, which is mental. You know what I mean? But Seeing his developed growth, and yes, obviously, I feel like the restraints of things, because clearly Moxley loves doing things like barbed wire and all those that there's just a thing in his brain that goes I want to do that, and obviously he wasn't going to really get to do that in WWE, so he is getting to sort of express his death match bloodlust in AEW more. But yeah, they are very different, but also I said very different. I don't think they're very different. I do think they're still the same, but I think they're just a different developmental of that character. Um, and who knows? It might end up he might end up reverting back to more like what he was, like Ambrose, just to save some blood. But but yeah, no, it's just another stage in his career as a wrestler. The best wrestlers all know when they need to change and when they need to develop into something new and do something new, because eventually it gets old hack and people stop watching because there's something else new and shiny to watch. So if you can keep reinventing yourself, you're always going to be the new shiny thing. Chris Jericho is the perfect example of that. Edge is the perfect example of that. Like constantly trying to find a different angle, a different perspective, a different mindset, a different sort of set of eyes to look upon things, to make things constantly interesting and to keep you relevant.
Absolutely. Innovation is the name of the game. And, obviously, let's go back to home, Scotland, because you can't mention Scotland and wrestling without ICW. ICW is a hell of a place. I want to know, Molly, how did you initially find out about ICW and what did it mean for you to wrestle for them?
So my story's much more in depth than I think a lot of people realise. I've been there well for the company. So I initially went in. So I first got announced to ICW because I did a college project on the Stand Comedy Club, and the comedian that they got me to follow was Billy Kirkwood. And me and Billy ended up realizing that we were essentially the male and female equivalent of one another, so much so that he showed up to our first meeting with a Punisher bag, when I was wearing a Punisher hoodie. We're both straight edge, wrestling loving, comic book, tattoo loving nerds that are both dyslexic and don't drink and are straight edge. So we're just and we had great hair. We both have cracking heads of hair. But yeah, it's just it was weird. So we sort of became friends through it, and sort of it was weird. Like what you probably don't see, but Billy has a Pepsi Cola tattoo on him because he's straight edge, and all his mates were getting like other things. He got a Pepsi Cola tattoo, and it was actually weirdly it was after the project that we brought up wrestling. And I remember just messaging him and going, I need to ask you something, and you're either going to know what I'm talking about, or you're going to be like, what? And I went, do you have a Pepsi Cola tattoo because you like Pepsi or because you like CM Punk? And he was like, oh, I do like CM Punk, but it's because I like Pepsi. I was like, okay, cool. And he went, you know who CM Punk is? And I was like, yes, definitely. And then that's sort of where it all sort of we ended up talking, realizing, oh my god, we both like wrestling too. And then he obviously started. He was initially just doing the ring. His first night on ICW, I think he was a ring announcer. So he was basically doing Simon Cassidy's job initially, which initially just going to adjust, sit comfortable. Initially was a comedian called Des Clark, who's on like radio in Scotland and stuff like that. So Des Clark had done it for a while. Then Des couldn't do it, so he put Billy forward to it. Billy did ring announcing, and then all of a sudden, Billy ended up on commentary and things like that. And Billy had messaged me saying, "You should come and see this show. It's like Glaswegian ECW," and I was like, sold. So there's a photo of me and my mate Juliet standing in the background of like this match, which had Jester in it, and we're like, and I was like, finally I seen it. And then after that, I was like, I need to get involved somehow. And I was doing television. I was studying television at college, going on to university at the time. Met Mark Dallas and was basically like, I was like, Billy, and introduced me. Met Mark Dallas and was like, look, I can get you a camera and lights and microphone basically for free for the next year at least, if not carrying whatever happens at uni. I just need work experience. I went, I need work experience to write down that I'm doing. If I just give you a bit of paper with what I've done and you sign it, can I? And he was like, sure, cool. Aye, because it meant that he got his shows filmed. He got a free camera. He didn't have to pay out and hire one. So did that for a while, and then eventually he was just like, "Do you just want to keep on doing this?" And I was like, yeah. So I ended up sort of filming all the backstage promos. I had some of the absolute greats come through there. Basically, anybody like the pool, you're fully Gallus, you're Alba Fires, you're Piper Nivens, you're like Big Damo, Nikki Cross, like I all of them, like done it with all of them, filmed all their stuff, helped them sort of hone that skill, but also help other people as well, sort of try and find their voice. There was loads of people that initially, I remember there was, I won't name the individual, but I remember them coming in and being a bit like, why'd I have to do this? I hate doing this. I don't like doing promos. And I went, right, okay. And he went, I just have nothing to say. And he was being a bit crabbit. And I went, fine, say that. And they were like, what? And I was like, the promo doesn't need to be like 3 minutes long monologue. You can simply just tell me you have nothing to say and then leave. And he was like, oh, okay. And then from there, they became a much easier person to sort of deal with. But I think it was that idea of like, right, having somebody that would go, I'm going to make sure all this content for. With that point, we were trying to do television, and then it went on to an on-demand service, and then it went on to yeah, we went back and forth with Fight, which now it's on Fight again, and yeah, so I did that for years. I went on tours with them, made sure everybody was on the bus. When the bus left, which was, I remember one day that was my job for like weekends on a row, and we both had Damo and Nikki on one tour. And one day they told them, leave her alone, just let her sleep. And when I woke up and the bus was moving, I burst through that door like, why are we moving? And he was like, I told him the notes, everybody's on the bus. I got it sorted. Like, I've checked where everybody's here. You're good, just go back to sleep. I was like, okay, thank you. I've not been asleep for like 8 days lately. I felt like that's what I felt. We'd only been away for 2, but it felt like 8. But yeah, it was that sort of thing. So yeah, I'd been there for ages, and then eventually, weirdly, when I talk about how I ended up wrestling, honest to God, it sounds like some mad rom-com movie that could have possibly happened. But I remember we were doing the August Fringe run, in a venue called Studio 24 that I don't think's there anymore, which is very sad because it was a great wee venue. But we did every Sunday at the Fringe. And I remember there was one day we were passing beams out, like the door, and it was me and Wolfgang, who's now my husband. So the rom-com bit comes in. But I remember at that point, like, we were just friends. We worked with each other at ICW. There wasn't any sort of indications, let's say. But I remember talking to him and sort of saying, like, don't know what made me ask this, but I went, where do you see yourself next? Like, what do you want to do next in wrestling? And I don't know why, but that was just what Kay like ask this guy a question. So I asked him that, and he said, "Oh, I'd really like to coach." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, where would you want to coach? Like, what would you want to do?" And he started saying, like, oh, he had this sort of idea of how he'd want to coach things and how he'd want to do things. And he wouldn't want to go to one place because he would upset the other, because he'd be friends with everybody, etc., etc. I was like, oh, that's cool. And he was like, yeah, I'd really like to start a place. He's like, I'm just worried nobody would show up. And I went, okay, student number 1. Well, look, I'll come and learn. I went. It's maybe a new sort of dynamic and a new point of view for me to learn. If I know everything outside the ring. I know how everything's built. I know the ticketing. I know the filming. I know the promos. I know the this, and I just don't know what happens in the square. And I was like, so maybe I could come and learn a different perspective. And he was like, okay, cool. Then eventually GPWA started to form, and he managed to sort of get his group. And I got this message saying, "Were you serious about being student number one?" And I was like, yeah, totally serious. Like, what have I to do? And at that point, I literally in my head, I was like, I'm just going to go and support a friend, a work colleague, learn a new thing. It'll be cool. But because for so long, I'd never seen myself as the wrestler, because for so long, there was really nobody that represented me. There was nobody, and I'm not just saying like with my size, because I'm not as I've said, a delicate flower. I'm well, famously dubbed the big girl by Al Snow. But the big girl, and this isn't me going, oh, woe is me or anything, it just wasn't. Like, the closest I'd say for a long time was probably Beth Phoenix was the best person that I could look towards and look up to, and still do. But I'm not Kelly Kelly. I'm never going to be Kelly Kelly, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. But there was a big run of people like that when I was going sort of through my teenage years, and that's just sort of what was in front of me of what you had to look like and be. And also, there was nobody with my voice. Let's be honest. Like, although there was Beth, she was still American. They didn't quite have the dulcet tones of the Scottish accent yet, and they'd kind of broken Drew a bit. So it was very much a thing that I was like, I love this so much that I'd be worried that I'd be rejected from it, and I'd just be it would kill me. And then when I started to train, you had the likes of like Piper Niven, absolutely killing it in Japan, and Kaylee Ray, Alwa Fire now doing the same. Two very different backgrounds, different looking women, but also both had the drive and the determination to just do what they wanted to do without. It was weird. It was like they were constantly just doing what they wanted to be happy and to prove that they could. And because of that, that's why the likes of WWE and stuff wanted them, desperately wanted to get hold of them, because they seen how different they were and how much they wanted this. And it's so inspirational still. But having sort of that made me go, okay, maybe I could do this. And then I'll always remember with GPWA, they did an 8-week course initially. So and within those 8 weeks, you had to be able to do up to a certain thing to then continue on. If you didn't, they were maybe advised on how to help with your, be it flexibility or whatever, in order to be able to get to a certain point. And I remember the late great Lionheart, Adrian McCallum, just straight up telling me, mate, I thought you were going to be shit, but actually, you're not bad. And I went, thanks, mate. But yeah, from there, I was like, great chat. But at the same time, I understood what he meant. Like, I think a lot of people had got so used to me being the person that ran about and did all the dirty work and did the filming and happily would do X, Y, and Z, but they never ever seen me as the person in the ring. And then eventually they did and went, oh, wait, this is what you should do. And I still worked for ICW while I did the training and stuff, but to be able to actually eventually, like, I ended up sort of stepping away for a bit to focus on wrestling, which was very sort of difficult, but at the same time, it was crucial. And having the likes of, at that time, Duncan Gray was still working, and that sort of saying to me, like, go and really, like, if this is what you want, chase it. So I made sure that, God help me, like, I made sure as soon as I crossed those ropes, there was no chance that they couldn't bring me back, that they couldn't instantly just be like, okay, well, you're part of the roster now. Like, I was making sure, and even then, by the time I worked for ICW, I'd already worked for the likes of Ring of Honor and things like that. So I'd grafted to make sure and went around. I'd done many trips overseas by then. I'd done all that sort of stuff because I was making sure, nah, they are going to have me. They don't have a choice, right? I am going to be an ICW roster member. I am going to be one of the women that help keep going the absolute legacy that has already sort of passed us. I also had my best mate Casey Owens, one half of the She Wolves, with me. And sort of just us constantly were like, I was like, no, when I get through those ropes, I am not just being a nice one-time surprise. Oh, look, here they are. I am making sure that I am there. I will be on every show. I will be booked every time that they possibly can. And then I was luckily enough to work with the likes of Angel Hayes, and through the sort of the COVID bubble, and having us have each other was everything. Like, I think, like, being able to have someone who is on paper the opposite to me, but at the same time it has that same sort of air of Kaylee Ray and Viper. On paper, very different, but in person has that drive, has that spirit, wants to be the best and wants to be better, but also wants to help everybody else around them be better as well, for selfish reasons, to make, like, if you're able to help people get better, it means that also you get better and you're able to have better matches because you're in with better people. And yeah, I think we've truly had each other through a very difficult time and a very strange time, to sort of really also really focus on your psychology, because there weren't people in the room to go, oh, that was cool. Like, you had to have the psychology and had to have these matches that really told a story, so that people kept watching them because they wanted to know what happened next, and how do they resolve this, and where does this go, kind of thing. um like, yeah, does that answer the question? Have I just gone off in a pure mad tangent? Because I tend to do that. I'm really sorry.
Hey, well, I think that's what you've just said there is just showing why you are integral to ICW, why you deserve that roster spot, because you are killing it. You are the best around here in Scotland and just absolutely killing it. But obviously, you mentioned someone there who was great with ICW, the late, great Lionheart, who got put in the ICW Hall of Fame. Truly great man. It's just a shame that he's gone. I want to know, like, if you got a favorite Lionheart match.
Oh, I mean, the match with him and Jackie Polo in the Barrowlands was just, because the thing is, again, it's the psychology that comes involved. The reason why that match was so crucial was because for a very long time, those two genuinely hated one another. Like people think, oh, so, I mean, they genuinely despised each other. But then before he went, they were two of the best mates. Like, everything was resolved because they were professional enough to realize this match is money. Like, this match is something. But they were also able to sort of dig in and get that bit of, like, we both know we're both dicks, but let's make that. You know what I mean? Like, they were able to use what they didn't like about each other when they didn't like each other, um, for the match, in order to then realize, oh, actually, okay, I don't like this about this person, but I do like all of this about this person, for them to actually be able to become friends in the end. Like, it is the maddest friendship, because they were genuinely really good mates before Adrian went, and yeah, but for a long time, oh, what, like, hated one another, truly hated one another, but I like, it was mad, but yeah, I'd say that's one of my favourites of his. Just because there was genuine animosity and genuine, like psychology behind it that was real. Um, so yeah, that was one of my favourites. But yeah, also getting to see him, like, in a ring was still the game when we did This Is Your Life was just heartwarming. Um, and winning the title was class. Um, but yeah, he was a force of nature, Adrian. I don't think anybody would ever argue with that. He had his moment, like, he was a hero and he was a fanny, but he was our fanny. You know what I mean? He was our fanny. He had his moments, um, and we all know he had his moments, but at the same time, he would go above and beyond for the people that he cared for and that he loved. He would just tell me things like, "Oh yeah, I did this for blah," blah, and I'd be like, "That's insane." That's like, it's so like, he did. He had these moments where you were like, "Oh my god, you're an utter fanny," but then he'd have moments where you'd go, "This is why people keep you about," because you do have a heart of gold when you want to share it with people. Um, but yeah, he was Adrian. He was Lionheart, and there won't be another one like him.
Absolutely. He was a fanny, but he was our fanny, and that's what he is. But obviously, Molly, as well, you've held championships in an ICW. You were a former women's world, going to emphasize that world part, world's champion. I want to know, winning that belt, being so long history of ICW, and finally having a title within the company, I got to imagine the wave of emotion, pride that just came over you when you held that title above your head.
Oh, it was mad. It is mad to think there is photos of me on my hands and knees scrubbing cake out a ring canvas to holding a title, like holding the title that I know have been held with those women that have actually given me the balls to even go, you know what, this is actually what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. Um, and the line of women like that have held it, you know what I mean? It's fair to say anybody that's held it, it's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like they're pretty world renowned, very talented individuals. So to be even considered that I could fall in that category is an honour in itself. Um, but also the fact that it is a legitimate world title. So is the heavyweight title in ICW. They are legitimate world titles. They were. I don't know if you know this, but I would like to educate you and anybody else. Titles are officially world titles when they have been defended in at least 5 countries and 3 continents. That is the minimum requirement to make a title a world title. That's why it drives me mental when little places the title hasn't left a 5-mile radius is called a world title. It makes my eye twitch, mate. It makes it go like, it's not a world title. And there's companies that I work for that when they've done it, I've went, where's that been defended? And they go, oh, sod it, she's here. But I know the graft that went into making both the world title and the women's title legitimate world titles, and that's why I made it sure. Like when I had it, I went over to Finland to defend it. I was trying to get other places before, you know. Yeah, I tried to murder a woman on a show and it kind of went viral. But apart from that time, um, yeah, but it's a world title, and I knew just how much that meant, and I knew the graft that had went into it. So to be able to actually be said, yeah, this is yours, was maddening. But I also knew that the likes of Angel Hayes being able to actually take it off her meant way more than because obviously you think about that, you think about something like that when you start training for some place like that, and you think about, well, maybe one day I'll be the women's champ.
Mm-hmm.
But learning something new and having a new thing, being able to tell a story with someone that you've grown to truly respect and truly see so much, and like it will genuinely baffle me if they do not sign Angel Hayes when they do NXT Europe. Like I will I'll go down and have a word with them. Like I'll be so confused because she is only at the start of things. Like she has got so much wealth of knowledge because she's been doing it since she was like 13, 14, but at the same time still so young and still so willing to learn new things and be pushed to her limits and try things. Like sometimes you do need to push her. Like I think I'm that one that goes, do this, and she goes, okay, and then she does it. And but like she's also grown. Like getting her to even like initially like getting her to talk was a nightmare, but now she's great. She thinks she's terrible at talking when she's not, but she thinks it. But I'm like, cool, you think that's bad. I can't wait till when you think you're good at it. Like it's maddening. But she is, yeah, she's one of the hardest working, just loves wrestling, loves it so much that she loves certain tunes that you think she knows certain. For some reason, she's really good at people's entrances, and she loves Summer Rae's entrance. She thinks it's a pretty banger, but she loves it. But yeah, there's just this sort of drive behind her, and being able to have that moment with her meant more. It wasn't just, oh, we're going in, I'm having a match and I'm winning a title. That's cool. It's, I'm having this match and we're putting on, and knowing that she wanted to put on a banger too,
Mm-hmm.
so that it was some, you know what I mean? Like people would go back and watch it and be like, this was class. And like having so many people come up to us after and be like, and I'm not putting anything on any other matches on that card at all. It was a banger air card at all, but having people that we don't know come up to us and go, I think that was match of the night, meant loads as well, because it meant that we had done our job and we had also proven that the women in this company, the women that like really want this, will put on matches that means you cannot leave. We are not go to the toilet time anymore. Like we are, you need to stick around because these mad bitches might do something. Uh, which Grant, we mad bitches do things like we do. Like that's not a lie. But yeah, it just being able to see her growth as well to that point from her having the title to her honorably and wholeheartedly like dropping it to me meant loads as well. And even still having it for as long as I did, being able to face some of the people that I did with it, your Lana Austins, your Chesson Moth Martinez, the list goes on, and being able to have those fucking great matches too, and then having that match with Rhio, and Rhio being someone again that I've had like I did this, I sort of spoke in the ring, and people sort of were like, oh, when I tell the story about the first meeting of me and Rhio was us in some dingy warehouse with a referee that couldn't count. That's not a joke. That's not made up. That's true. Like it's true. Genuinely, we had to push her on smoke machine with our foot. The place that we were, honest to God, the width of this bed was bigger than the room, like the place we had to get changed. It was just a vinyl. It was maddening. But that's where we first met, and we had our first like match together, and it was in a 3-way, and it was just a nightmare. But we both came out it, and instead of being raging, we were howling of laughter. And then I was like, "Okay, you're cool," and she was like, okay, "Yeah, okay, we like each other." And then we kept sort of crossing paths and always kept up to date with each other and stuff like that. So being able to share with her as well and being so adamant, her
Mm-hmm.
her.
Her.
Um, was very important as well, because also who wants to lose a title in a rubbish way? You
No.
want to go out with a bang. You want somebody to hit the nail in the coffin and be like, no, stay down, bitch. Like, and I think we fairly did that, and I
Oh.
think some people had opinions, but you know us and you know our match, and you went and subscribed to Fight Plus to watch it. So Fight Plus were delighted with us. That's what matters. And yeah, it was just having it was an honor, but also the idea of being able to build a roster so that that title can feasibly go on anybody, and any of the women that are in a match, you go, they might take like this. We need to watch this because this might change, because the level of talent that's coming in, any of us can be champions, because realistically we all are. We
Mm-hmm.
all are. We all have that drive. We all have that passion. We all have that hunger that any one of us can happily hold the title of champion. The belt's nice. It's lovely and it's shiny, but it's holding that being known as champion is yeah, it's kind of
Oh,
cool.
it's definitely a cool thing to will, but it's funny you mention that, Molly, because I always love this story and having the other side of a story, because I've actually had Rhio on this show and she talks about the match, and I got to know the
Mm-hmm.
story behind the bump when Rhio falls off the balcony, because Rheo's told me her side of the story of how she was like, oh fuck, I'm fine, all right, cool, awesome, but your point of view looking down over and then just shouting like fucking mental. What were your thoughts on that whole part of the match?
It's mad. I think a lot of people, yes, like, it's so clear. Like, there's been so many times people have come off that balcony in ICW, right? There are countless amount of Christ, Drew McIntyre, hoofs, no I'm dad, off it. Like, and I mean hoofs him off it. One big spoof, gone. But nobody talks about that. Months before it, literally November, this happened in the end of January, right? Beginning of Feb. When was it? January or February. It was one of them. It's been a long time. But from November, somebody got gorilla placed over it. Nobody said a thing. Nobody said a thing. It's cool. It was tweeted. As soon as two birds do it, two women decide, let's have this a go. The place erupts. The place goes mad. Now, Grant, people sometimes think, oh, look at those women. We're professionals. We know our job. We know what we're doing. We know, like, we had planned that. Like, it's just, let me get comfortable because now I'm getting, right. We know what we're doing. We're trained professionals, and in all honesty, and this isn't a dig on anybody on that roster and stuff like that, but me and Rhio are probably two of the most well-travelled people on that roster currently and previously. Like, we have literally travelled around the world. We have travelled up and down the country. The reason why we're friends in any way, shape, or form is because we had to travel to get there. I either had to go down or she had to come up. Like, we haven't just decided to stay in our lane. We're not women that like to stay in our lane. We like to go out there. We like to try and learn from different places, wrestle as much as we possibly could, because also, let's be honest, the majority of shows still only have one women's match, and we are making sure that we could possibly be on one of those one women's matches that are happening up and down the country. For us to be able to get booked and for us to be able to wrestle as much as we do, we have to travel. That's not an option. And because of that, we've learned so much things. Like, we've been in mad matches down in TNT, we've been in mad matches all over the place. We've done this. So when it came to, we wanted to make sure that, yes, okay, Rhio was fairly new to the ICW audience. Like, she'd been there before, but she wasn't as known as I was at that time. Like, and we wanted to make sure that by the end of that night, that room full of people were like, this bitch. Like, yes, she's ours. She's one of us. And by the soon as she fell, she was one of them. Soon as she fell, that room was like, oh my God. Like, and when she got up and when she kicked out, that room was like, this game is on. Like, let's do this. Like, they were delighted when she got it because of what she'd went through and what she'd done. Not one single person in that room made a negative comment because they understood what they were there for. They were there for over 18s, insane, insane championship wrestling. They were going to see something possibly insane at insane championship wrestling, and they did. And guess what? She wasn't injured. Why? Because she's a professional and she understands how to fall and she understands what she's doing, like how I understand what I'm doing and how we got to there. And it's just, and it, like, although I don't want to believe that it is, but it is probably because we're female. It is probably because they have never seen women do this before, and the spooky girls are cut, like. But there's part of it that is that, and okay, you don't need to like it. That's fine. Like, as I was saying before, it's the idea of, like, you don't have to do everything, but sometimes, and we knew we need to do something that makes sure that by the end of this, every single person in this room loves this woman, like is behind this, will come back to see her as champion because of what she's done tonight. So no matter what you say, the psychology of that match was, mwah, we managed, we truly thought about everything that we did. And Yeah, it's maddening, and it still carries on. Like the other day, I got an Instagram message of somebody that had, there was like, it was like Vader hitting something, Ken Shamrock hitting something, then it was us, and then it was someone in Japan, and I was just like, we are never escaping this, and we were like, but so what? Like it's it's that kind of thing where from since that moment, like look at the trajectory Rio's on right now. Like she's, but that's exactly who she is, and that's exactly what she deserves, and that's like she grafts so hard, she thinks of everything, and yeah, like having being able to be like the two of us being like, we've kind of done this the same amount of time, and we've went through the same thing in wrestling, and I've been able to have that moment, but also being able to have someone that when death threats and when abuse and when all sorts started coming through social media, um, we had each other to go, this is mad, right? And now, Grant, we also got a whole bunch of love and a whole bunch of support and a whole bunch of people defending us, and people like, and it was lovely, you know what I mean? Like people really, there was the mass of that, but when you're getting this wave of like, oh, like, and you're just like, when it becomes personal, and when it starts like truly like hoping, like genuinely there was people that were like, I hope they die, like I hope they try and do something like this again, and something goes wrong and they die because they shouldn't be in the business and all that, and you're like, what plot, like yeah. So but having someone that I knew was strong enough, that was mentally strong enough to go, we're all right, we know what we did, we know we're fine. And you know the thing is, see if it gone bad, see if she'd got injured, fine, I'm here. I would take every criticism underneath the sun if it had gone wrong. Cool. Crucify me. But it didn't, because we're professionals. It didn't because we're well trained. We didn't because we actually think about what's going on. We didn't because we actually want to make sure the other person is fine at the end of the day and walks out. And guess what? She walked out with the title. Like, every movement we made sense, everything about it. Like if you actually decide to go and watch the full match and rather than just criticize us on one small clip from one angle, you might actually realize actually these mad bitches are actually good at their job. Um, but yeah, it was a very interesting time. And in all honesty, I remember, so on Twitter, when it was still Twitter, if you have over 20 notifications, it would just say 20. It would change the number. And it was constant, constant, constant until, so that happened on the Sunday. It was constant until the Friday when a referee set a man on fire and got launched across a room. That's when it calmed down. Because they decided to go and shout at that instead. And I was like, what?
Fucking hell, Jesus
So
Christ.
yeah, that was how. And then it still keeps coming up. And then you had the likes of Vince Russo and Al Snow deciding to tag us in what they were saying about us, actively write our names, but then not say our names when they would talk about us, and would refer to me as Big Girl. And the weird thing about that was, at that time when that happened, I was away doing a theatre show, because again, do that sort of thing. I was doing a theatre show with professional wrestling involved. I'd just come off stage. I was backstage, and I seen that it happened. I went, "Oh God!" Clay was playing it out loud in the dressing room while we were getting to, and it was another member of the cast that had said, "Did they tag you in that?" Wait, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd spent 2 weeks of utter bombardment, and they went, "Did he tag you in that?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, they did." And then, so why didn't they say your name? What? And they went, that's heavy cheeky. Like, they didn't say who you were. They spoke about you. They talked about you. They tagged you in it, so they know who you are, but they didn't. And I was like, It's heavy cheeky. And then from there, I was like, you know what? You know what else, though? You know what? You know what, everybody? I am the big girl. I am the big girl. I'm the big girl. I'm going to make sure you say my name. If you're not going to say, I'm going to make sure I am the big girl. So that every time you say that, you say my name. Because that's who I am now. The big girl doesn't matter what size you are or what stature you are or anything. If you think big, if you can do it, then you are the big girl. And I'm not letting anybody sort of talk us down in that sense because, yeah, we did something that went viral. We did something that millions of people seen. We did something that when I was at a convention months later, I kept people tapping me on the shoulder and going, "Did I see you murder a woman?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was me." And they're like, "Oh, cool." And they carry on. I was like, "Yeah, yeah. We won't mess." I'm like, "Cool." So yeah, it still gets spoken about. People still talk to me. Were you the girl? Yes, I was. Oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, it's. But again, it's good to. It's weirdly good to have experienced that side of the internet, but with someone who I know is also mentally strong enough to take it.
Nah, absolutely. I mean, hey, I love that match. I was there for WrestleMania for Rhea and Charlotte, but I still think your match maybe onto your level because I love watching.
No, I was at WrestleMania for Rhea and Charlotte. It was absolutely incredible.
It was a fucking banger, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolute banger of a match. Like I was just like, nah, this is the best match. Everybody go home. Like absolute screamer that match was. And yeah, I just remember my father-in-law was with me at that time. And obviously, like Charlotte comes out and Rhea comes out, and I'm like, "She's got Rhea." And he went, "What?" And I went, and he went, "I recognise her." I went, "She was in the UK. She had the UK." He was like, "That's it." So we cheer on her. I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Let's go, Rhea." I was like, she's Australian, but she's one of ours, so let's go. Like that's fine. We adopt her. Yeah. She's one of ours. But yeah, that match was an absolute banger. So I'm not saying that. But like Rhea Charlotte was possibly one of the best matches at WrestleMania this year, and in any WrestleMania, in any women's wrestle match there has been. So just not getting there because it's Rhea, Ripley, and Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I'll say something controversial, better than Cody and Roman. I'll take that bullet. But something else I want to ask as well, Molly, is another story Rio mentioned about the red braid in her hair. About the story behind that. I gotta know.
Right, okay. Do you want me to show you something? Stay there.
Oh fuck.
Oh. Now everybody's going to realise just how much of a weird creep I am sometimes, right? But so, the red braid in her hair truly represents me because I'm the redhead. And I have this thing, right? So this little sock monkey goes everywhere with me, especially at wrestling, and his name is Gary, right? And it was given to me as a present from a next door neighbor called Rory, who was like 5 at the time, and he gave me this on my first ever wrestling match. So I was nervous, and he gave it to me as a luck charm. But Gary's scarf that I've just taken off is the braid. So normally, because it's a good luck charm, Gary, usually you'll find it in my suitcase, will normally have this fetching scarf, which still has actual hair in it, which right, but yeah, so I kept this braid of Rio's, so she goes everywhere with me as well. See what I mean by not wanting to hurt a person? Like, but yeah, so the red braid, if you see the red braid in Rio's hair, it actually represents old Molly Spartan here, because of the red hair and stuff. So yeah, that was the example. But yeah, I kept the braid. Oh god, I'm a creep, but it's an endearing creep. But yeah, this goes in my suitcase everywhere I go with wrestling. And yeah, I'm a weirdo that likes pure. The fact that I remember going into that show and saying in my head thinking, I mean, it'd be cool if I cut one of her braids off, but never ask her that. Never asked to do that. That's it. And then she walked in the doorway. Do you want to cut one of my braids off? And I was like, yes. So yeah, the red braid does represent me here, but yeah, and I've kept it. So it didn't go to waste. It's not just disappeared. It also, well, I was about to say it's not like some mad creepy stalker fan has it, but a mad creepy fan has it, but the fan is our pal, so that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a one of a kind wrestling memorabilia. It's going to be in the Hall of Fames.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it. And then when cloning technology gets better,
Whoa.
I'm going to take the actual bit of real hair, and I'll just make another one, so that we have loads of Rio, and then we'll have loads of cracking matches everywhere, because there'll just be hundreds of Rios.
My God, I can see it now. ICW Shug House Party 69 in the future. Molly Spartan in a gauntlet of 80 reels. Whoa, main event.
No, the whole card is just
Oh,
Rio. It's Rio. The entire poster is just multiple Rios.
wow. Hey, that's a sellout show because you never know what's going to happen. But now let's go to the future because Shug's House Party 8 is coming up. And, you've got a match there in, an 8-person tag. And, the Manifesto, they kind of may have delivered a little promo about you going on and saying their words and all that. But I want to know, Molly, how scared should these fuckers be? Because your 2 other tag partners haven't been announced yet. I just want to know, how fucking scared should these fuckers be?
Very, very. And the weird thing about this, right, is for some reason ADM has it in his head that it's about him, and he always does. That's the problem with ADM. He's full of his own hype, and I'm trying to be okay. I'm trying to be nice about this because I do want your audience to continue listening, and I don't want to just start really expressing how I feel. But yeah, everything ADM does is about ADM, and for some reason, he's managed to absolutely brainwash the likes of Eddie Castles and Moxie Malone and Grant McIver and even Tyler Wright, even though he's a bit eerie and I get a bit when he's about, but he's managed to somehow convince them that what he believes and what he says and what he does will make them better and somehow push them forward. But the problem I have with ADM isn't actually about ADM. It's about the people that he's somehow convinced. Because as I said before, Eddie Castle was there on my first day at training. We have literally done this the exact same amount of time from the very second we walked in. We have we have gone through everything. We have went from trying to figure out who we are and who we could be in professional wrestling together. We have learnt from headlock to spear, together. And Eddie's so much better than this. He could be a world champion, but there is no chance ADM would let that happen. There is no chance. He will only just hold that boy back for his own gain and his own prosperity. And I don't really know Grant McIver that well. It's fair to say, but I'm sure he's got redeeming qualities of some form that is better than this. And I know that he's worked hard, and I know he's been around this scene for ages. He was doing this longer than me, and I'm never gonna. I just don't know him that well to truly feel something about it. But you've also got the likes of Moxie Malone. The fact that Moxie would let some man dictate for her, it's not the girl that I met. She started in JPWA, and in fact, I give that lassie a job. I used to manage a bar in Glasgow when she worked in another bar and they wouldn't give her time off to go train. I told her I'd give her a job, and I gave her a job. I hired that girl so that she was able to get Tuesdays free to go to training in order to become who she is today. And now she's going to like some man that's full of his own utter bullshit dictate for her. She could become a world champion if she just took those rose-tinted glasses off and started to believe in herself more than believing in him. Christ, I'm not the easiest, and I'm not going to say that I'm all clean and honourable and I've done everything by the book. I haven't, but I at least know when I do it, I'm doing it because I feel like it. Like, that's the mood I'm in that day. I'm maybe feeling a bit spiteful that day. I'm maybe feeling a bit disheartened that day. So yeah, I'll take it out on you, and I might swing a chair, or I might do this, that, and the next thing. But I also know I'm fully capable of winning titles myself. I'm fully capable of everything that I've done myself. I've got a tag partner. Yeah, I've got Casey. She's my best mate. She's been with me through thick and thin. Christ, we fought in the past because we've known that's kind of what we should do. And we've had our faults and we've had our bickers, but we're able to always see each other and get back together. But everything we've done, we're fully aware we're doing it for the right reason. But they, for some reason, think they're doing it for some grander scheme of things. But in reality, they're doing it for some man that can't do it himself. Like some man that hides behind better talent than he did. And he did it with Dylan Thorne. And Dylan Thorne realised and got away from him. And look at him now. Like, Dylan Thorne will be another Zero G champion. I know that will happen, and he'll do it without the manifesto. And when I lost the title, Casey didn't turn her back on me, not once, because she's real. She's actually a partner. She looks out for me. She wants me to do well. She wants to support me. When I won the title, she supported me. When I had the title, she supported me. Yeah, okay, she got a wee glimmer of gold in her eye as well, and we fought. But after it was done. We were back to the same page. And every friendship sometimes skips a couple of chapters, and we did for a bit, but now we've caught up. But she's been injured, and they decide to carry on running their mouth, and that's not going to happen. No. But every single time I try and talk, I try and actually be reasonable. Me being reasonable. I've thrown people off balconies. I'm not normally the most reasonable person, but I actually tried to be reasonable because I had friends, people that I cared about involved in this. But that time's up. I'm done being reasonable, and I am. You know what truly scares me about this match is the fact that, yeah, I've got Angel Hayes, and I've spoke about her plenty in this, and I know she has had her issues with them as well. And she's doing it for very much the fact that they kept on getting involved where they just should have just stayed away. But for me, they don't even realise. They talk a big game. They think that if after this match no one will be able to stop them, no one will ever be able to them. They've not even realised that even if they hit me with everything, throw me off that balcony 800 times, I am going to keep on getting up, and I'm going to keep on making sure. I have said it before, and I will say it again. I am going to be the rapture of the manifesto. And it's not just going to be me. There's going to be many other people that get involved because nobody likes them. They get involved where they shouldn't do, and they don't even stand on their own 2 feet. That's what's really bothersome. Even if you don't like some people, even if you're against the likes of Theodorus, you can't argue that the man doesn't stand on his own 2 feet. But ADM can't. And that's what scares him. That's what terrifies him, because he knows he can't. So he surrounds himself with people, and he manipulates people to think that they need him, and they do not. So the rapture is going to be when I wake these people up and realise that they don't need him anymore. And come Shug's house party, yeah, my tag partners, the other people that I have, like I've said before, like, it's not been that difficult to find people to join, because No one likes the Manifesto. But even if my team doesn't beat them, that's not going to stop me from ripping them apart. And I will continue to do that until every single one of them wakes up and realizes that they are better than this absolute self-profiting bullshit that ADM spouts.
It really seems, Molly, not only are you going for the victory of this match, but you're on a rescue mission.
That's what it feels like. Like, the thing that scares me the most is that, yeah, these people are doing well because they are great talents. But my worry is what happened with Dylan Thorne was he mucked up. He lost the title. He'd lost the title to somebody like Daz Black. It's not like it was just some newbie, like wannabe rookie that walked in the door. He won it to somebody who is incredible. But they decided to just attack him for that, and that's not on. The one thing, like Grant, me and Casey, we done shady things, but we always had each other. That was the main thing. It didn't matter who liked us and who didn't like us, because we always had each other. But I don't think they will always have ADM. And I'm hoping that they realise that before he does. And that they can get rid of him before he gets rid of them.
Absolutely. It's a very dangerous situation for these individuals. You know, it's sort of like having, you can do the actions, you can do what you can do, but you have no morals behind them. You're just gutless.
And that's what it feels like. And the worrying thing is with ADM, I think if he actually, I think he can stand on his own 2 feet as well, but I don't think he believes he can. And he'll argue. He will, blue in his face, tell you that I'm wrong, that I'm out of order here, and of course he can do this, and he's the prophet, and believe in the prophet, and blah, like. But I think he could. But I don't think he believes he can, truly, deep down. And that's why he's doing all this. That's why he's the way he is. Because he gets people that he wants to be like to surround him. But yeah, I'm worried about people who that I used to really care for. Right now, I just need to genuinely, I've got to a point where I'm going to need to knock the sense into people. So yeah, that's what's going to probably be happening at Shug's house party. And but also, if I can boot ADM in the boss, I'd quite happily go home with a smile on my face.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the fans will be a cheerful spirit in head. But hey, come Shug's house party, hell or high waters, Molly Spartan is going to be saving people, folks, and you know that's something we're going to see. But obviously, within the Scottish
Who's seen that coming? Who's seen that coming? This is how bad it's got. That I'm having to get involved. That's how bad it is. Like going from trying to murder somebody to saving people. That's how bad this is.
Well, just shows you never know what's going to happen in the world of professional wrestling. Things can go from high water to low water to good to bad. Flip on a dime, you never know. But obviously, within Scottish wrestling, we're looking to the future, and future talents are rising up and killing it. And I know you've faced these 2 previous guests in the shows, and Ashley Vega and Daisy Jenkins, 2 female wrestlers I think are just rising and killing it within the business. Also, you've got a match coming up with Daisy Jenkins at Pro 2 Wrestling. Seeing the future generation of female stars rising up within the Scottish wrestling scene, what does that mean to you to see, Molly?
What's really cool about the likes of Daisy is the fact that she's also from where I'm from. She's from Fife, which is a part of Scotland that hasn't really produced much talent in the years gone by. But the fact that, yeah, she's just got the right head on her shoulders. She is so humble, but she is constantly trying to be better. And like every time I match any feedback, what's going on, but like she is really, really, really getting there and like just going above and beyond to try and be the best version that she can be of herself. And she'll be great. Like, she's going to be great if she just keeps going the way she does, and she keeps that humbleness about her. She'll do incredible. Ashley's actually been doing it this roughly about the same amount of time as me, but obviously she started in Glasgow from a different school, and now is training at FPWA. And we had that match in which, weirdly, she actually was my opponent in a match in Fife for the first time that I wrestled in Fife in front of my family.
Oh.
So it was weird. It was the Fife school versus the Glasgow school, with the Fife girl wrestling the Glasgow girl for the opposing sides. So yeah, no, she's really changed sort of the dynamic of where she's going with things as well. And hopefully my feedback helps her, and that she'll listen and, you know, think about things. But yeah, having sort of FPWA as well in Fife is great. I mean, it's mad to think that how different my journey could have been if FPWA was alive and well and running before I even got to ICW, when I was still living back at my parents' house in Fife and taking notes about what camera positions are like in Raw and things like that for when I was at college, then when I was going to uni and stuff. And even just thinking about it, if I'd started, like, it's mad to think, like, what if I'd started the same time that Angel Hayes and that did, and like Ashley Vega started when they were like 14, like, instead of in their 20s. Like, it's it's so exciting to hopefully see some incredible talent actually being able to come out of Fife. Like, it's mad to think that in the WWE games, Glasgow, Ayrshire, and Johnson are all in the games, because you've got Drew and Piper for Ayr, you've got the Gallus Farm for Glasgow, and you've got Alba Fire for Johnston, but you don't have Edinburgh or Fife. Like, it's like you've got one side of the country, but you don't have the other. But it's because there hasn't been talent getting produced out there, and now you've got the likes of Joe Henry's school in Edinburgh, and then you've got APWA and stuff like that. The hope is that one day, maybe Edinburgh and maybe Fife will actually get a shout. Maybe Kirkcaldy, where I'm from, might pop up as an option to be billed from, and you have to hear some poor American ring announcer having to try and pronounce Kirkcaldy correctly. Imagine somebody came for Ochtermuchty and having to have, like, some Michael Kogo. Yeah, she's from Ochtermuchty. Like that would be the best. Like, so who knows? Who knows? Somebody might come for Ochtermuchty one day, and it has to get announced around the world. The world will need to learn how to pronounce Ochtermuchty correctly. They need to get that. Americans trying
Oh,
to.
a language
But
lesson at the end of the day.
but yeah, just that's never happened. So yeah, the hope is that could change, and that maybe one day, someday, for the East Coast might actually be some place for the East Coast might be an option to choose when you're trying to make a character on 2K37 or something.
Who knows, Molly? Maybe you'll be in a showcase mode going against Rhea Ripley for the Women's Championship someday.
Yeah, and I will pee my pants before that match.
Absolutely. Well, Molly Spartan, you have been an absolute pleasure to have here on the Soul Sessions. Honestly, thank you so much for this opportunity. But
No, thank you for having me.
I want to leave one question here before we finish up. And, America has WWE, AEW, Impact, and, has its own style. Japan as well, Mexico with AAA, CMML, Scotland. And, Scotland's just a beautiful country. We've produced great stuff, ICW, Pro 2, everywhere like that. In the world of professional wrestling, what do you think Scotland will mean to it?
Christ. Scotland will be the place that represents that it is possible, that the dream is possible. If you think about it, there was a point in time during the pandemic where you had the Gallus firm holding the UK tag titles. You had Nikki Cross holding the female tag title. You had Alba Fire, Kaylee Ray was holding the women's UK title, and Drew McIntyre holding the World Championship. Now, for a country that only has about 5.5 million of us in it, to literally be known as the one in a million, like they were the one in a million to hold titles in their country, it just shows that there is a point in time where with Scotland, for some reason, if you kind of back us in a corner and tell us something's not possible, we'll be like, oh, really? Okay, hold my pint. It's a country of people full of that, and when you find the people that are passionate about wrestling, they are very passionate about it. Like I always try to explain to even US fans about the UK. If you are a wrestling fan in the UK, you are dedicated. Because if you want to watch Raw live, you need to be up at 1 a.m. and you're going to bed at 4. If you want to watch a pay-per-view, Christ, the amount of times I would go watch WrestleMania in a bar in Glasgow and I'd be going home while I see people walking to their work. Like, I look like I'm doing the walk of shame, but I'm totally sober and I'm carrying a McDonald's. Like, it's country of lunatics, but the best kind. And yeah, I think Scotland's going to be one of those countries that it's always going to be synonymous, because I had the first UK champion from Scotland in WWE, and yeah, it's going to be remembered as the place that constantly fights for what it wants and what it believes in, and that it's the one in a million. It's the one in the million of countries, because it literally was. It literally was at one point. I was like, this is mad. But also, we've all got kind of sexy accents, so I bet they've discovered this, and that's why they've hired so many of us. So AEW just needs to realise that they need the dulcet tones of a Scottish individual, or Impact needs the dulcet tones of a Scottish individual now, and they'll be swimming, they'll be laughing. So Scotland and wrestling will always be the one in a million. And it will always be a country that people go to look at for good talent, because guess what? We produce it. As I said, there's something in the water.
I mean, hell. I mean, like, God, that's an inspirational quote. That's like an end of movie quote you could put there. Who knows, Molly? Maybe we could see you against Jamie Hayter or Trinity in Impact someday. Some kick-ass matches.
Yeah, that would be class. Really, I want Slamovich. I want Slamovich in Impact. That's what I want. Plus, like, what the hair in that match.
It's gonna go.
That's what I want in Impact. I want Slamovich.
Well, hey, dream match. I say so myself. But Molly Spartan, thank you for coming on the Soul Sessions. But folks, if you want to learn more about her journey and see what she's getting up to, I will include her Instagram link in the description of this video. As well, I will include a link to Iron Girders, Shame and A show. Let's sell this fucker out and let's support great wrestling. The first LGBT event in Scotland. We are going to sell this fucker out. I can assure you on that.
Well, lad, it's called Iron Grinders. That was Shay's idea. And we were like, cool, that's the name you want, that's fine. We did name it that. You named it that, Shay. But yeah, please, it's going to be incredible. Like, I already know what the card is, and it is going to be outstanding. You're going to see people for the first time that you've never seen before. Some great talents are coming up from sort of down south and stuff like that. And yeah, it's also just going to be so much fun. We're doing a pre-show party, which we're hoping to get some entertainment on that. Not necessarily wrestling, but of the LGBTQ fun kind. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it. It's really exciting, and I'm just excited to go find decorations with Shay. Like, when I get back to Scotland, we are looking to decorate that place out. So yeah, it's going to be so much fun and class, and it's so exciting to do, and also just really excited to be part of.
Absolutely, indeed. It's going to be a fun, fantastical, dazzling event. Come on, viewers, click the link. Right, I know you've watched the episode now, but get that link clicked and get them tickets bought. Right, thank you everyone for tuning in for another episode of the Soul Sessions. She has been Molly Spartan. Thank you everyone, and remember, tune in for more Soul Sessions.